When the millionaire family mocks a waitress, she takes the mic and delivers a shocking truth. The restaurant buzzed with clinks of fine china and whispered laughter, the air thick with the scent of roasted garlic and caramelized onions. But at one table, a storm brewed. The wealthy Thompson family, clad in opulent designer wear, sat smugly, sinking into leather chairs cushioned for kings. Their voices dripped with condescension, mocking the waitress who approached with a nervous smile. "What's on the menu, dear?" Mrs. Thompson sneered, flicking her perfectly manicured nails with disdain. The other family members erupted in snickering giggles, a cacophony of privilege mingling with casual cruelty. But there was something electric about the waitress, Emma. Her hazel eyes shimmered with defiance, but her hands trembled slightly as she glanced at the crumpled order pad. The wait staff knew better than to provoke the Thompsons, known for spilling wine on employees who dared to step out of line. Emma clenched her fists, a tightness forming in her chest, her breath catching as their laughter echoed around her like a bad melody stuck on repeat. She could hear whispers from nearby tables, judgment lurking in every corner, a collective holding of breath. With every second that passed, the tension-mounted audience eyes darting between the waitstaff and the table of tormentors, everyone feeling the tightness in their throats. A moment the room fell silent, so heavy a pin could have caused an avalanche. Would Emma let it slide, or would she stand tall, defying the storm brewing at her back? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference, let's connect. As Emma swallowed hard, the tension crackled in the air, uncontrolled and raw. Glancing up, the fire in her hazel eyes ignited, she seized the mic. The room collectively gasped, a hush falling like a shadow. "You think you're better than me?" She spat, the indignation flowing from her like a river breaking through a dam. "You don't even know my story. You don't know what it's like." To the words hung on the night air, fraught with promise and outrage, as the stunned crowd leaned in, eager for her next syllable. Eyes widened in disbelief as the Thompson family exchanged glances. Were they ready for the truth she was about to drop? The energy in the restaurant was palpable, a thick fog of anticipation enveloping them all. What secrets would be revealed? What truth lingered just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to explode? Emma took a deep breath, the pulse of the room matching the thunder of her growing determination, as she prepared to open a door to a world they would never expect. Emma paused, the weight of the mic feeling like a lead weight in her small hand. The flickering candlelight danced off the polished surface, reflecting the shocked faces before her. Suddenly, the spotlight felt blinding. She could almost hear her own heart pounding, each beat a reminder of the stakes at play. "You don't know what it's like to serve people who see you as less," she continued, her voice rising against the murmurs of disbelief. "To live each day in a world where every single penny counts." Her throat tightened as she thought of her family, the sacrifices they made. "You sit in your velvet chairs, oblivious to the struggles outside this restaurant." A thick silence wrapped around them like a fog. The clinking of silverware had ceased, every eye glued to Emma. She glanced at the Thompsons, their faces morphing from smug amusement to something that looked suspiciously like discomfort. "I grew up in a trailer park," she spat, the words coming out sharper than intended, like shards of glass. "My parents cracked their backs to keep food on the table, and you know what? They taught me more about life than any of your private schools ever will." The sudden intensity of her admission sent ripples through the audience. Gasps echoed from the corners of the room. Mrs. Thompson's mouth floundered like a fish, caught off guard. "How dare you?" she began, but Emma cut her off, each word now flowing like molten lava. "How dare I?" she challenged, stepping closer, fire flashing in her hazel eyes. How dare you sit there, with your lofty opinions and mock the people who serve you? You enjoy the fine wine and cheese, while I'm out here juggling 7 tables, praying my tips will pay my rent. A murmur ran through the crowd. It was a mix of surprise and something else, sympathy. Maybe even a hint of respect. Emma's voice rose as adrenaline coursed through her veins, turning her fear into fuel. Every time I smile and serve you, I wear a mask. She roared, startling even herself. I smile while wondering how I will afford my mother's medicine next month. You think you can laugh at me, but I'll tell you the real joke here. She took a moment to draw in a shaky breath. You're the punchline. Now the room was thick with tension. The Thompsons squirmed, casting furtive glances at one another. The servers stood mesmerized, peeking from behind countertops. Emma could feel their support like an unseen force backing her up, urging her onward. Do we really think money defines worth? It's people. It's kindness that makes a person. I'm more than your waitress, and so are the ones you look down on. Gasps spread through the room like a wildfire, igniting a mixture of admiration and horror. Emma had opened a floodgate. For a moment, she felt invincible. But then came the haunting silence, the kind that wraps your heart in cold dread. Would the Thompsons retaliate? Could they handle the truth? Mrs. Thompson finally regained her composure, anger etching deep lines on her face. You'll regret this, she started, but Emma interjected fiercely. No, you will regret not being human for once. Emma shot back. Suddenly, a chuckle broke through the charged atmosphere. A man at the bar, dark hair, piercing eyes, was watching, his smile widening as he leaned forward. He raised his glass, raising the stakes in the unexpected tension. I'll drink to that. Everyone turned toward him, their expressions torn between shock and curiosity. Emma's heart raced, feeling the shift in the room. Was she breaking through? Was she changing minds, or provoking a battle yet to unfold? And just as a wave of hope washed over her, Mrs. Thompson leaned in closer, her eyes darkening. You won't get away with this. We always get our way, my dear. With that chilling threat hanging in the air, Emma's breath caught in her chest. What had she awakened? What storm was brewing underneath the sheen of wealth and privilege? Just then, the restaurant door swung open, letting in a gust of cool air. Behind it stood a figure cloaked in shadows, their face unreadable. Was it a friend, or an enemy? Emma's heart raced. Again, breath hitching as uncertainty gripped the room. What truth storm was about to break? And would Emma be ready for whatever chaos lay ahead? The door swung shut behind the shadowy figure, thudding against the wall with a force that seemed to echo Emma's beating heart. The air crackled with energy, a magnetic tension binding the room together in a moment of collective anticipation. Who are you? Mrs. Thompson barked, her voice a pitch higher, a clear sign of her fraying composure. Emma's eyes widened as the figure stepped into the light, revealing sharp features and a confident grin. He was dressed in a simple black jacket and jeans, strikingly out of place among the luxury-draped patrons. Just a guy who values a good story, he chimed, his voice smooth, each word flowing like honey. And what a story we have here, don't we? The crowd's attention was forcibly divided, open curiosity had bypassed their former distaste. Emma felt her breath catch, each inhale laced with an unexpected thrill. Who was this guy? Did he come to support her, or stir the pot further? Emma, right? He said, turning his focus solely on her. I heard your bold words. I've seen the struggle, and I think it's time more people witness it. Emma nodded slightly, emboldened by his presence. You've seen it? She echoed, her voice unsteady but determined. You mean you understand? More than you think. His gaze pierced through her, and she felt the weight of his sincerity. These folks, he gestured broadly to the well-dressed crowd, they hide behind unchecked privilege. Let us peel back those layers, shall we? He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small device. It gleamed like a promise, something potent. This will light a fire. What do you mean? Emma asked, a wave of nervous exhilaration washing over her. Let us stream this moment, he replied, flipping a switch. The device whirred to life, casting light across the room. It started to broadcast, allowing the world to tune in to this raw confrontation. The restaurant transformed from a quaint eatery into a theater of truth. Panicked murmurs darted like wraiths throughout the audience, eyes darting between the man and Emma. You can't do that, cried Mr. Thompson, his face reddening. Stop this at once. It's time for the world to know the truth, the man said calmly, unfazed. And you, Emma, have a gift. Your story is powerful. All eyes returned to Emma. A tidal wave of hope crashed into her doubts, her heart hammering with the realization that she could speak for those who couldn't. She could be the voice for the voiceless. What do you want from me? She asked, steadying herself. Just your fire, your truth, he urged, his eyes gleaming. Let us show them what they overlook. So she took a deep breath and retrieved the mic, feeling its weight in her palm. What you see before you, she began, her voice unwavering, is real life. It's not some act. It's my life, and it's the life of millions who serve every day so you can enjoy your fine dining. It's time to wake up. The air around them crackled like a sparked flame, igniting the audience's curiosity, shifting the tide. Emma's words resonated deeply, and as she spoke, she could almost feel the shift in the room's energy, transforming anxiety into empowerment. But then, Mrs. Thompson's face twisted in rage. You'll regret this, both of you. She spat, venom lacing her words as she started to rise from her seat, her shadow looming threateningly over Emma, fear coiled tightly around Emma's chest, yet in that moment, adrenaline pushed her to stand her ground. She locked eyes with the man, their silent understanding navigating the oncoming storm together, the atmosphere thickened, the tension palpable as they braced for the potential fallout. What would happen next? Could Emma harness this moment to shine light on the truth, or would the Thompsons unleash a wrath that could bury her voice forever? The room spun in a standoff. Every eye zeroed in on Emma, and in that moment, time seemed to stretch. She stood rooted, the microphone a lifeline against the oncoming storm. Mrs. Thompson's ire was fierce, a collision of privilege and rage. Emma could feel her heart racing, each thud pulsing with the weight of expectations hers and the audience's. Emma, you're making a mistake, Mrs. Thompson hissed, her voice dripping with disdain. Do you really think anyone cares about your story? Actually, I do, Emma countered, her voice stronger now, resonating with newfound resolve. And I believe a lot of people out there do too. It's time we stop pretending everything is fine while the world turns a blind eye. The man by her side nodded, urging her with a slight motion of his head. Let them see you, he whispered, his voice barely reaching her over the building tension. This is your moment. Suddenly, the atmosphere crackled, a thin line of electricity sparking in the air. Murmurs erupted through the audience, a mix of shock and intrigue. Emma could feel their eyes weighing her words, measuring them against their own realities. Your story is ugly, Emma, Mrs. Thompson sneered. Unrefined. It doesn't belong here, among decent people. Decent people. The term hung in the air like a toxic smog. Emma glanced at the audience, who were becoming more animated, some leaning in, eager to hear more. The venomous words bounced off her, igniting something within. It's a story we live every day, she said, her voice climbing higher, fueled by adrenaline. It's the story of survival. Mrs. Thompson's attempts to influence the crowd only tightened the grip of silent solidarity among them. The man stepped back slightly, his presence a watchful protector as she continued. I grew up watching my mother work long hours, she said, her voice rising above the cacophony. She worked multiple jobs just to put food on the table. Each meal came with sacrifices. Those sacrifices become invisible as you sit here, dining, enjoying your luxuries. A collective gasp echoed around her. The power of her words struck deep, and she knew it. Every nod from the crowd felt like an affirmation. Emma pressed on, driven by a burning need to expose the truth. I'm not ashamed of where I come from. I'm proud of those who work hard every day to keep this country running. But we are tossed aside, treated like we don't exist. You the Thompsons think of us as mere background noise. But we are the heart of this community. The crowd was spellbound, and for the first time, the tension shifted toward them. Eyes sparkled with recognition, heads nodded in understanding. Emma glanced back at the man, and he flashed a grin, urging her to keep talking. What you see before you, she continued, is the reason you can enjoy your meals without worry. It's time for you to understand that our struggles matter, they always have. But just then, a cacophony of shouts erupted from the back of the room. Turn it off. Now. Mr. Thompson's booming voice shattered the atmosphere, sending shockwaves through the crowd. His hands were raised, panic straining his face as he lunged toward them. In a swift motion, Emma's heart sank at the sight. Fear mingled with a rush of adrenaline. Suddenly, the device in the man's hand started to flicker ominously, and the energy shifted again, tension hung like a sword about to fall. Keep your eyes open. The man yelled against the breaking chaos, his voice cutting through the din. This isn't over. What would happen if they couldn't stop him? Would he reveal something dangerous? Emma's breath caught, the shadow of doubt creeping in. Did they have the power to resist the storm, or would anger and privilege consume them all? As chaos threatened to spill over, she realized her journey was just beginning, and the cost could be more than she ever imagined. What new truths were waiting to be uncovered? The room erupted in chaos. Emma's words hung in the air, vibrating with an energy that was both electric and dangerous. Mr. Thompson moved like a storm, tearing through the crowd, his face twisted with rage and disbelief. The flickering device in the man's hand became a beacon of tension, casting unnerving shadows across the panicked faces in the audience. Get away from her. Mr. Thompson's voice thundered, a desperate mix of authority and desperation. He wasn't just angry, he was terrified of what could be revealed if Emma continued. The man by Emma's side tightened his grip on the device, his eyes wide and determined. We're not done. People need to hear the truth. With every pulse of the device, the crowd's tension shifted. Some stood frozen, captivated, while others began to murmur among themselves, uncertainty blending with hope. Emma's heart raced. The volatile mix of fear and exhilaration coursed through her veins. This was her moment to fight back against a lifetime of oppression. This isn't just my story, she shouted, desperate to regain control of the narrative. It's yours too. It's ours. Don't let them silence you. Mr. Thompson halted a few steps away, hesitating for a brief moment as the crowd began to murmur louder, sparked by Emma's words. They had become a different kind of army, united in recognition of their shared struggles. She could see the fire igniting in their eyes, the barriers of privilege beginning to crack. Silence us. Mrs. Thompson's voice interjected, sharp and lethal. You think people care about your petty struggles? This is absurd. You'll ruin everything. She was practically spitting with rage. The power she wielded was slipping away, and she loathed it. Sometimes, you have to ruin everything to build something real. Emma shouted back, her cheeks flushed with adrenaline. She could feel her words hitting home, resonating with the quiet anger brewing in the attendees. She felt emboldened, the fear morphing into fierce resolve. The man by her side stepped closer, urgency written into his every gesture. Emma, remember why you started. This is bigger than both of us. His voice was thick with emotion, a raw plea that clawed at her heart, and then it happened. The device in his hand brightened, a sudden surge of power illuminating the stage, forcing everyone into silence. The connection between them pulsed like a heartbeat. What are you doing? Mr. Thompson yelled, realizing far too late that true power didn't just come from money and status, it came from authenticity and courage. Just as Emma opened her mouth to speak again, another voice cut through. What do you have to hide, Thompson? This came from an unlikely corner of the crowd, a woman with dark hair and tired eyes, the reflection of years of toil etched into her face. "What have you done to us?" Emma caught the glimmer of recognition in the crowd's eyes. They were ready to fight. "Exactly," Emma exclaimed, feeling the swell of support washing over her. "What do you have to hide? It's time the world sees the truth." But then, like lightning striking, a loud crash rang out. The device fell from the man's hand, clattering on the floor and sending a pulse of dark energy through the crowd. A flicker of uncertain chaos sparked anew. Emma's heart stopped. Was this the end of her chance? Had Mr. Thompson found a way to silence them? With a sudden clarity, she realized the battle wasn't just for her voice, it was for everyone in this room. The stakes were higher than she'd ever known. As panic erupted once more, Emma felt the ground shift beneath her. What if she didn't just fight for her story but for the countless others who felt invisible? What truths would rise from this moment of fear? Would the whole room burn down if they pushed back hard enough against the heat of power? The lights flickered ominously above, and she sensed a reckoning close behind. The crowd surged like a wave, each person drawn to the epicenter of the chaos. Emma felt the electric charge spark in the air, an urgent call to arms resonating deep in her soul. The device lay lifeless on the ground, but its promise still lingered like smoke from a fire. She had seen what it meant, the power to unveil secrets, to expose the ugly shadows lurking behind their privileged lives. With her heart hammering in her chest, Emma took a step forward. "This is not just about Mr. Thompson," she yelled, her voice slicing through the noise. "It's about all of us who have been silenced, all of us who've been written off." The crowd turned toward her, their eyes shimmering with a mix of fear and determination. She noticed the woman with dark hair and tired eyes inch closer, an inviting spark of solidarity only she could see. Emma took a breath, allowing the moment to come alive with purpose. Then she spotted it, Mr. Thompson trying to regain control, the look on his face frantic. Instead of retreating, he surged forward, a man losing grip on the facade he had crafted so carefully. "Enough of this nonsense," Thompson barked, chest puffed out, trying to interject authority amidst the growing revolt. "These people don't want the truth. They want a show." The crowd murmured, uncertainty creeping in. The woman from before pressed her lips together. Was she losing them? But Emma remembered the warmth of unity she'd seen just moments ago. "No. We want to be heard." Suddenly, the world felt like it was closing in around her. All eyes were on Emma. It wasn't just a room full of hesitant souls, they were a tapestry of stories, woven together by despair and hope. She could finally see the faces behind their masks, workers overlooked, families shattered by loss, friends betrayed. And it hit her like a tidal wave. "Look at us. Look at our faces," she yelled, her voice cracking. "You fought us for so long, yet here we stand, unwilling to back down." Mr. Thompson's face contorted in rage, but Emma didn't back down. Stepping closer, she reached out to the crowd. "You know the truth. We may be scared, but together, we have power. This moment is ours. Are we going to let them take it away?" Silence blanketed the room for a heartbeat, and then it erupted. Cheers, shouts of agreement, a wave of collective resolution surged back at her. The woman from earlier shouted, "I've lost jobs for speaking up. Who cares if they mock us?" And with that, Emma sensed a rippling change in the air. Everyone was hanging on her words, fed by the fire she'd ignited surrounding them. It was magic, but magic often eluded and terrified those who tried to control it. But just as the spirit of rebellion seemed to solidify, a scream pierced through the noise, raw and unrestrained. Emma turned sharply to find a young girl, no more than 12, being held back by security. "Stop! Don't hurt her!" Emma shouted, desperation spilling into her voice. The girl's eyes, wide and full of fear, met Emma's. "They don't want us to know," she cried. "They hide all the secrets." Suddenly, the room shifted again. A new kind of electricity surged through, a dangerous storm brewing, and Emma felt a surge of urgency. If Emma didn't seize this moment, what future would they have? The stakes had become life and death, not just for her, but for everyone who ever felt crushed under the weight of their secrets. Are we going to let them keep us in the dark? Emma challenged, taking a step toward Mr. Thompson, who was now visibly shaken. Or are we going to demand the light? Just then, the lights flickered ominously, and a deep rumble echoed in the distance. Was it the beginning of their reckoning or something far worse? Emma steeled herself, because the moment had come. But what would happen when the truth finally broke free? The room stretched beyond the walls of the building, engulfing them all in anticipation and danger. Emma stood center stage, her heart raced, a wild drum echoing against the doubt murmuring around her. The flickering lights cast ominous shadows, twisting the faces in the crowd into a jagged collage of uncertainty. What would happen next? Are you ready to wake up? She shouted, her voice clawing through the tension. A challenge. A dare. The crowd buzzed as the girl's terrified face remained etched in Emma's mind. This was about more than just Mr. Thompson, it was about every hidden truth, every shadow they'd been made to live in. Let her go. A voice echoed from the back, solidarity surged through the crowd like a current. Emma felt it, the strong tether binding them to one another, a collective will rising. Someone pulled the girl from security's grip, she stumbled forward, running straight into the warmth of the crowd's embrace. Thank you. The girl whispered, her eyes glistening with newfound bravery. You see. Emma spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. This is who we are. We're more than just skeptics or silent servants. We are a wave capable of sweeping over the old order. Thompson's face twisted in fury. You think this will end well for you? He barked. You think you can just reach into the darkness and pull out the truth? You'll regret this. His voice was gritty, laced with threats cloaked in disdain. Emma took a half step forward, sharp and unwavering. This man had tried to break them, but she felt the chains of fear beginning to shatter. What's left to lose? We live with shadows every day. The murmurs turned to shouts. Yes. We deserve to know. The roar of voices filled the place, a living, breathing entity that trembled with the possibility of change. Then, without any warning, the lights went out completely. Gasps swirled in the darkness, the world reduced to ragged breaths and the anxious bounce of adrenaline. Emma could barely make out the silhouette swaying and shifting around her. Panic began to creep in, each second stretching long and thin. Stay calm. She shouted into the void, straining to be a beacon. We are still here. Our voices can't be stifled in the dark. She thought of the girl, now lost in the shadows, but the crowd felt alive, far from defeated. With a desperate surge, she struck the floor with her boot, grounded herself, and let the urgency propel her. As if in response, a cell phone flickered alive, casting a soft glow. The screen illuminated faces, highlighting fear, but also defiance. The darkness could not swallow them whole. Turn your lights on. Light the way. Emma urged, her heart throbbing. She could feel the energy shifting again, brighter now, as dozens of phones lit up the space. Do you see us now? We are not afraid. The light, once timid, now glimmered fiercely as phones filled the room with hope. Faces merged into a sea of unity, and Emma's breath caught a surge of power poured through her. She pulled from the depths of her being. What will you do, Mr. Thompson? When our truth shines brighter than your lies? The lights flickered back on, and they were met with a sudden silence. Thompson's face turned pale, the confidence evaporating in the atmosphere. It was as if all the air had been sucked out of the room. For the first time, he looked vulnerable, but then the floor beneath them began to quake. What's happening? Someone screamed, panic lacing their voice. Emma's heart launched into her throat as the walls trembled, and she felt a churn in her gut. This was something beyond their fight, this was a reckoning. As the lights dimmed again, and the entire building rattled, whispers of dread spread through the crowd. What is going on? A man shouted. Are we safe? Emma's heart raced. Stay together. Stand strong. But her thoughts churned. What if this was a retaliation? And then it hit her. The truth didn't only threaten their oppressor, it threatened everything, every hidden layer, every secret. What if the shadows weren't just behind their families but within the very foundations they stood on? A crack echoed through the room, sharp and terrifying like a gunshot. Emma's gaze fixed on Mr. Thompson, whose smug mask faltered, eyes wide in panic. Was his fear for himself, or what the truth could unleash? Then, a voice broke through the chaos. The secrets are buried deeper than you think. The room fell deathly silent, uncertainty gripping every heart. What lay beneath them? What would they discover if they pressed harder? The chaos echoed in Emma's head as the ground beneath them shook harder, like a beast awakening from a slumber. Every person around her seemed frozen, eyes wide with a mix of fear and uncertainty. The light flickered again, casting distorted shadows on the walls, and suddenly a heavy thud resonated from beneath them, followed by a deep, throaty rumble as if the building itself was warning them. What secrets? Emma called out, her voice desperate, demanding an answer. She felt the weight of every eye on her, the crowd swaying with the aftershocks, but she stood firm, an anchor amidst the storm swirling through her mind. Then, the floor trembled again, this time more violently. A scream pierced through the stillness, a shattering note that sent shivers racing down Emma's spine. Get back! Someone shouted, and there was a frantic scramble in the crowd, but Emma held her ground, fists clenched at her sides. No! We can't let fear take us. She raised her arms, trying to rally them, heart thudding in her chest like a war drum. We've fought to get here. We won't let this break us. Instinctively drawn, they looked at her, their expressions shifting from trepidation to determination. Thompson, now a shadow of his former self, stepped backward, eyes darting around as if seeking an escape route. This is insane. You're playing with fire. He yelled, but the trembling beneath them seemed to respond to his fear, the walls around them moaning like an angry spirit. Emma felt a fire sparking within her, igniting her resolve. You built this place on lies, and now those lies are clawing to get out. What's beneath us? She felt a surge, gripping her core tighter. Show us. Cracks began to form on the floor, splintering like an old wound reopening. The crowd gasped, more voices joining the clamor. It's just an old building. Thompson barked, his bravado slipping. We are safe if we stick together. But Emma knew, this wasn't just about the structure. If the cracks could swallow their secrets, they would learn more than they were ready to understand. And what about the secrets, Thompson? What have you hidden from us? A voice, tremulous yet brave, spoke from the dark. My sister, she was involved in something dangerous. Families torn apart by your greed. The darkness isn't just here. The voice faded, replaced by a desperate murmur of agreement. A flicker of connection pulsed through Emma. They had to pry the truth from the shadows. Let us dig. She shouted, feeling the weight of exhaustion lifting, adrenaline pumping through her veins. Together, we can unearth whatever evil lies beneath. They moved as one, a wave of bodies pushing towards the central floor. Emma knelt, trembling fingers probing the surface, pushing against the cracks. Fear dripped away as she fought for answers. They needed to know. Then, a sudden fissure opened beneath her. A cloud of dust billowed as wood splintered, a gaping hole appearing like a sinister mouth. Shadows danced in the void, and Emma's heart stopped. What lay below? What gruesome secrets had been hidden away, festering like a wound? Emma, back away! Someone shouted, panic flooding, but she couldn't move. She was magnetized to the chaos, staring into the darkness that beckoned like a siren. From the depths came a low growl, vibrating through the air, raw and menacing. The crowd collectively stepped back as the ground erupted, and Emma grabbed the edge of the hole. Prepare yourselves. She shouted, the energy shifting like a storm. This is just the beginning. As the shadows churned and the whispers grew louder, a skeletal hand reached out, pulling itself from the abyss. The audience gasped, and at that moment, they were faced with an unfathomable revelation. What had they unearthed? What figure lay before them, set to torment their lives further? Emma's breath quickened, realizing the truth she hoped the crowd would embrace might change everything, but at what cost? The skeletal hand clawed its way from the shadows, gleaming white against the darkness, fingers twitching like a wounded spider. Emma's heart raced as she grappled with the sight, a sickening mix of horror and fascination. It felt like time had suspended, the second stretching as the crowd held its breath, eyes glued to the emerging figure. A low groan emanated from the abyss, rising in pitch, echoing against the walls as if the very foundation of the building was protesting. Murmurs surged around Emma, some were cries of terror, others whispers of disbelief. "What is that?" Someone whimpered, their voice barely audible over the cacophony of escalating fear. "Stay calm," Emma shouted, forcing her voice to stay steady, though her inner turmoil threatened to burst forth. "We need to face this. Whatever it is, we do this together." But the shadows writhed as if mocking her courage. A second cold hand joined the first, followed by an entire figure, a pale spectre draped in shredded remnants of what seemed like clothing, skin stretched tight over bone. The crowd shrank back, brushing against each other, creating a wave of raw panic. "Run!" Thompson screamed, eyes wide as saucers, but Emma stood unyielding. The force pulling her deep into the chaos was stronger than fear. She had opened this door, and now it was too late to turn back. The figure emerged fully, glancing from face to face, and for an agonizing moment, Emma thought she saw something human behind those empty sockets. Pain or anger? She wasn't sure. Then, a voice cracked, raspy, but unmistakably familiar, pierced through the stillness that had clutched the assemblage. "Emma," it rasped, and her breath hitched. It was her mother's voice, altered by time and despair. "You seek the truth, yet you're blind to the scars of the past." Stunned, Emma stepped forward, drawn by an irresistible pull. "Mom." She hardly managed to say, her throat constricting. "Is it really you?" The spectre shuddered and the look turned into something entirely different, not the warmth she had longed for, but an embodiment of all the anguish and secrets the family had buried over the years, like a festering wound. "Secrets?" Emma muttered, the weight of the word crashing over her like a tidal wave. "What do you mean?" With a mournful wail, the figure raised its arms, gesturing toward the crowd, whispering their hidden truths. Voices surged forth, guilty secrets, painful confessions, all fighting to escape the pit where they had been trapped for so long. People gasped, gripping each other, their issues laid bare in the open, replaying their darkest moments. "They're your curses," the spectre uttered. "You cannot hide from your failures." A flash of panic gripped Emma. The monstrous figure had manifested not only her mother but also all they had lost: friends, families, dreams swallowed by a greed that had turned them against one another. But just as all seemed lost, Emma sparked with fury. She wasn't ready to be a victim anymore. "If these are our secrets, let us own them," she cried, her voice trembling, yet fierce. "This pain has festered long enough. If we want to fight, we cannot avoid the truth." One by one, eyes brightened in clarity. As if Emma's words were a match to tinder, they felt invigorated. "We can't fight together if we hide in the shadows," she screamed. The spectre recoiled, suddenly frightened, as if Emma's fierce resolution could sever the chains binding it to the abyss. But in that moment of connection, the crowd found unified strength. The tension shifted dramatically, and fear morphed into rebellion. Then, from the depths, a deeper growl rumbled, a warning, a challenge. Whatever haunted them would not yield easily. "Emma, this isn't over," the figure hissed, retreating into the shadows, but not before leaving a chilling promise lingering in the air. As vibrations coursed through the ground, Emma's resolve only strengthened. They would face this together. "Are you ready?" she shouted, the adrenaline pumping, the fire reigniting in their hearts. "The truth is here, and we will fight for it." But as they gathered the strength to confront the darkness, another rumble echoed, this one more ominous than the last, followed by a chilling crack. What truly awaited them in the shadows they had stirred? Was there more lurking below, waiting to claim them? The spectre's voice lingered in the air, charging the room with white-knuckled tension. Emma's heart thudded against her ribcage, the faint hope for resolution igniting her spirit like an unquenchable flame. She stood rooted in place, every word she spoke echoing with power, igniting the crowd around her. "Are you all ready to face the truths we've hidden?" she bellowed, her voice cracking through the lingering fear like a bolt of lightning. The crowd surged, a pulse of energy, an army ready to reclaim their narrative. "Yes!" voices cried back, their resolve reinforcing one another, as though the very walls of the restaurant were shaking under the weight of their unity. Their fear morphed into a collective roar, a voice reborn out of the ashes of oppression that had stifled them for too long. But even as determination blazed brightly, Emma understood the struggle wasn't only about confronting their past. The spectre stirred deep fear within her, a memory of unresolved pain, unhealed wounds threatening to tear through them all like old scars. The ghostly form drew back into the shadows, hinting that true confrontation lay deeper still. "Then let us tear down the veil," she shouted, feeling an exhilarating rush. "We can't erase the past, but we can confront it. We owe it to ourselves." At that, the crowd shifted closer, leering into the abyss she had opened, waiting for the next move. The restaurant hung quiet, the sudden silence heavy with anticipation, until a rumble from below vibrated through their feet. A growl thickened the atmosphere. Emma's breath caught, the ground trembled beneath them, and she faced the eye of the storm. "Stay strong!" she shouted, sensing the spirit sapping the fear from their collective hearts, substituting it with raw determination. A jarring crack sounded from the depths, almost as if the building itself was cracking open to reveal that which had long been hidden. Shadows wrangled with their fears, swirling around them like mist. Just as she was about to lose her nerve, she sensed movement in the darkness. Skeletal fingers re-emerged, meeting the light of hopeful expressions with ungodly fingers, beckoning them into the abyss that had held them hostage. "You don't need to fear the truth anymore," Emma called out, adrenaline coursing through her. "Together, we're more than what they wanted us to become. Let us own our story." A collective roar erupted, melding voices into a singular cry vibrating with purpose. Mr. Thompson's frantic cries shattered the air. "Enough! You're ruining everything!" But his desperation only fueled their passion, transforming his fury into a backdrop for their battle. In that moment, light surged through their ranks, illuminating faces hardened by struggle, drenched in honesty. Emma stood tall, feeling the pulse of unity, igniting boldness that wrapped around her like a warm embrace. "What are you afraid of, Mr. Thompson? Show us what's beneath these lies." The urgency in her voice clawed through the air, a challenge unfolding like a promise, daring the shadows to confront their truths. Then, the spectre spoke again, its voice echoing ominously. "You think you can tame what lies below? This pain runs deeper than you will ever know." Emma faced the entity, her heart racing with fading fear. "Then let it show us," she shouted back, an unwavering fire igniting in her eyes. "You don't intimidate me. We've come too far to turn back now." With their hands linked, the crowd surged forward, their strength unyielding, enveloping the spectre in a luminous wave, as if defying the very reality they had lived. Gasps swept the room as they approached the gaping chasm that promised to pull them into unknown depths, unearthing ancient and unspoken secrets. Then silence. Emma's voice rang out, "What do you truly fear? Let us face it together." There, in that moment of stark vulnerability, time slowed. The weight of everyone's secrets hung heavy in the air. Emma drew in a breath, feeling undeniably powerful, and with it whispered words of change surged, rippling through the ranks as they prepared to leap into the dark. "Join me!" she cried, her voice filling the void, coalescing everyone's whispered hopes. The darkness had always been filled with monsters, made worse by secrets. Now, it would lay exposed, bathed in the truth that was ready to shine. One by one, heads nodded resolutely, hearts throbbing with the weight of unrelenting determination, and then, if the world had made a grand stage just for them, the darkness erupted in a wave of light. A floodgate opened, revealing not only the secrets but the radiant truth that lay hidden amongst their scars. They stumbled into the light as laughter, cries, and shouts of hope intertwined, drowning out memories of pain. Emma took one last courageous step forward. Together, we transcend our past. Together, we are unbreakable. The spectre recoiled, its grip loosening as their collective story moved toward healing. With the sound of thunder, the darkness recoiled into nothingness, and behind them stood the open door, heavy with revelations, every awful truth, every fear laid bare, but also every victory, every moment of pride they'd fought for. As the ghosts of the past faded into the ether, Emma felt lighter, victorious in their collective resolve, no longer a mere spectator in her life. She embraced every wound that brought them together, feeling an overwhelming rush of freedom. The room erupted into jubilant whispers, and Emma could sense the shimmering unity around her. Let us celebrate. Let us tell our stories, loud and clear. She shouted, feeling the overwhelming joy rise with every heartbeat. And as the crowd reveled, she knew that together they had unearthed truth more than just a moment. They had forged an unbreakable bond, their power rooted in honesty and courage, ready to shape the future, leaving no shadows left behind. That revelry, light illuminated every corner of their lives. The darkness had fallen away, and with it, the promise of a new dawn emerged. Now was the moment to rise. You need to subscribe now and be part of this journey as it unfolds. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this vibrant community thriving. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, and the theories about what this monumental ending means. Finally, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us spread the truth together. Don't wait even one more second.